Hello, hey, this is Omar Ocampo, and the purpose of this video is to help you guys navigate through the Kibana dashboards that I created for the field solution, for the browser monitor and field solution that I created. So you should have the IP address with the URL to the Kibana. So this is a public IP being hosted by our GIS. And so when you type in that link, you're going to be brought into this page. So you can see that Kibana is composed of four tabs here: Discover, Visualize, Dashboard, and Setting. We're just going to do the dashboard, but when you're going to be landed when you log in into this page. And so what you can do at this point is just highlight the various metrics that we're collecting. You can quick go over quick and show, and just make reference to the various Ajax calls that we're collecting. For instance, the remote host that we're calling into, the port, the URL, how long it took to load, and so on and so forth, as well as a lot of browser info. The browser name that the user is executing from, the device type that the user is executing from, operating system, the vendor name, as well as, of course, page information, right? How long did the page take to load? How long did the page um, take to do a DNS lookup in order to find the server? How long did it actually connection time? How long did it actually take to connect to the server? How long did actually the server took to respond to a request, and so on and so forth? Okay. Um, the other thing that you might want to highlight is the user. A lot of, when I've done this in the past, and I showed that we're able to collect username. Um, the usually question that I get from customers is where do we get the username from? So the username is gotten from the server side. So assuming, if the customer has the username available in some cookie or somewhere within the page, and they point to us where the name is there, maybe we can leverage that and make use of that. But usually that's not the case. But because presumably we have our agent running on the server, we can leverage that and we can collect information like the username from the server, decorate the request, and capture that, and record that in along with other browser statistics. The other thing that you might want to highlight, for instance, notice that I have user region here and user department. So the same way we go and collect or look up, the username on the server side, we can also look up other costume metrics that that the customer may be interested in. For instance, this particular case, um, the customer who I built this for, uh, they wanted to know, or they wanted us to capture the user department and the user region. So, using our Java's agent, right, we were able to capture those information, decorate the request, and now we're able to store, those costume metrics along with other performance metrics. Okay, so obviously this becomes very useful because then they can build dashboards, um, where they can show information on or analytics on user department or user region. All right, so I think that's all there is for this page. The other thing I made, so then the metrics that we're collecting, they all come from the W3 W3 group. Uh, and if I'm making reference to this in case you want to learn, what each metrics does, all the different metrics that we're collecting. Uh, the metrics that we're collecting are provided by the browser API, and it's the same way that every other competitor out there or vendor out there collects metrics regarding the uh, statistics on the page itself. So we're doing the same thing, okay? We're collecting the same information that everybody else is collecting in terms of page performance. And I think one of the advantage, since our customers may have agents running on the server, we can also enhance um, the performance data, right? Those metrics already, those metrics collect already from the page with custom metrics, like I showed you before, username, user department, or any other thing. This is just a flow of what happens on a page. If you're interested, this just tells you that, okay, well, when a user clicks on the URL, the original page gets unloaded, then we do a DNS lookup, then we connect the server, then we load the page, we build the DOM, and the whole thing, the whole flow. Again, if you're interested, want to know, learn more about it, here's the URL, and you can definitely become more aware of what's going on when when the browser loads a page. All right, so let's jump to the dashboards. So what you'll want to do after explaining, given a high level the different metrics that we collect, and that ability, I think that an ability to collect the custom metrics, you'll go to the dashboard, and in the dashboard, if you go to this folder, open folder, that's where we saved our dashboards. If you click on that, you'll see that I created 5 dashboards for this demo. We'll go ahead and select this summary overview. One of the things that I want to highlight is this summary overview. Okay, you can start with this one because this one I have created it with a filter. You can see that it points to 2 months ago data. And so this is good data that I executed. So and a lot of the dashboards and a lot of the use cases that we'll be going over um, are from this specific time range. So make sure you start with that one. So, all right. So obviously we're collecting, the name of the application that we're monitoring, um, showing the average page load time of all the pages, right, for during that time frame, right, that we're actually monitoring. In the time frame, FYI, the time frame that we're monitoring is that we're showing here in this report is 30 minutes and about done recorded about 2 months ago. Okay, so you can see we have Ajax execution time, average execution time, as well as server response time, right? So we're showing on average, how long did the server take to respond to our request, how long did the Ajax calls took to execute, as well as the average of our page load. Also, the total number of hits, okay, how many requests, whether it be page or Ajax, users have requested, the number of live sessions that we have during this time frame, right? This reporting period, as well as the number of logged in users. Okay, uh, so we also have also collecting the different device types. This is the total number of hits broken down by device types. The device types, we can see that 20% of them came from tablets, 42% of them came from desktop, and 37% of those hits came from mobile phones. We do the same with browser names. So again, the breakdown of the various requests broken down by different browser names, and the geolocation showing where those users um, are located, within US. And in this particular case, where all our users are coming from North USA. All right. So the next thing you want to do is you will go ahead. So again, we'll click on the folder, and we'll go to the page performance. So once the gauge performance is loaded, you'll talk about that, we're collecting, we're showing the slowest pages, the top 25 slowest pages. You can see that we're sorting them by response time. Um, we also have the number of invocation per page, okay? The number of errors that might have occurred on a page, as well as the number of Ajax invocation that may have occurred from a page, right? Um, as we could have loaded a page and just have a lot of Ajax code invoked from that page, and so we're capturing that. In fact, in our homepage, which is shop index, you can see that we actually have we're making about 50 Ajax invocation call from that page. Okay. All right, so the next thing is obviously, we have the little graph showing, the average response time. We can see here a particular URL being sign on. It's really, has a very high page load compared to the rest. Okay. We can also we'll look at the page volume by URLs or by pages. We can see that, I don't know, we had a peak of view category, right? Your page, where in this particular case there was an invocation of four of them. Um, the other thing that we have in here we're showing is the breakdown of invocation by response time. So for instance, let's pick this one, device type. We're showing the various device type, the number of invocations, as well as the average response time on the page. So for instance, take a look at desktop. Desktop, we said there were 57 invocations, and desktop is averaging a page load time of 175 milliseconds. Whereas mobile, for instance, there were 67 invocations coming from mobile, okay, and it's averaging a page load time of 620 milliseconds. Okay, so we capture that for all three devices, and we do the same for the various browser types that we have. Okay, number of invocation, response time. So we can see that, for instance, the Android browser here, right? We had an invocation of we're looking at about 27 number of invocations coming from that particular browser, and the average response time is almost 1 second, or about 1 second, 1,013 milliseconds. Okay, so we would do the same for the number of errors, assuming that we had errors. We would show the breakdown of errors by mobile, desktop, and tablets. And the truth, the reason why we're not showing that is because we're not capturing errors today. I think that's coming in 10 to 3. All right, so the next thing is a breakdown of the response time of the page. How long did it take for the page to render? How long did it take for the page to do a network call, right? The network time and the server response time. So perhaps, to explain this better, uh, maybe I should have rearranged this, but the first thing that we need to look from a page is how long does the network time takes, right? Because, the DNS and the connection server. The next thing is how long did the server take to respond, right, to our request? So we can see the average response time of the server for every request that we made. And lastly, once we get the data from the server, how long did the browser itself take to render the page? Okay, um, those are the time that compose the total load page of the load time of a page of a page. Okay. Next, we'll go. This is backwards. Maybe I'll change this by the time you get this. I should do it right now, but I'll change it after. Number three should be Ajax Performance. So if you go to the Ajax again, what you'll see in here is the various pages, okay, that make Ajax call. Okay, so in my case, right, we're using Ticket Exchange, and there's only one page that makes an Ajax call, right? And it happened to be the home page, as I showed you earlier, and there are 50 of them. But ideally, there could be many pages that make Ajax calls, right? And so we get a list of all the pages with the number of invocation of with the total number of Ajax calls that each page has have made and the average response time so that you can select a page. So for instance, imagine we had a few pages here. You would select the page that you were interested in, right? A filter is applied, and now what you would see in here is just the Ajax calls coming from that particular page. And now you can look to see what are the different remote hosts that those Ajax calls are calling into, right? As well as the ports, the URLs, the average response time, the resource load time, the number of invocation, and the number of errors, if there were any errors. Okay. Um, so we're showing the H call volume again in here, and we're showing the number of invocations broken down by the various remote hosts that we're calling into, right? We can see that we actually call into three remote hosts. API Open Weather Map, some cloud API in order to collect the weather, um, a backend server, and as well as we're going back to our local host. And you can see the breakdown of the various the number of invocations um, per remote host. So this other one is sort of showing the same information, right? Because you can see the inner donut here is showing the remote host, right? But the above the above donut is showing you the breakdown of the various device types that are called that we have used in order to call into the remote host. So for instance, this one, the purple one, shows invocation calls to the weather API, right? And now if we look outside, we can see that uh, 72% of those calls have come from desktop. Um, 16% of those calls have come from tablets, and 12% of those calls, right, going into this API.OpenWeatherMap have come from mobile. And we do the same here but this time we're doing it by browser type. So, again, if we're looking at the weather API that we're calling into, what were the various browsers that were used to call into those into that API. Lastly, by the way, I hope that makes sense. This is just to show the power analytics, right? That we can parse and dice the data in any way we want. Um, and then trends, right? The number of invocations and the number of errors that we're seeing in the Ajax, right? As well as the performance, right? So this is broken down by how long did it take for the server to respond, right? To receive the first byte from the server, as well as how long did it take for the entire resource to load. Okay, so you can see these are just trends on volume and response time. All right, so let's go to the next one. So before we go, let's remove. So in order to remove the filter that, remember I just clicked in here and a filter was created. I don't really want to carry this filter across. So if I put my mouse on top of the name of the filter, I can click on the garbage can to remove it, or I can go to action and they just remove one or the other. Okay. So now if we go to the next one, which is going to be the session overview. All right. So we wait for this to load. So the first thing I got to tell you is in order to adjust this, so you click on this button right here, okay, fit data bound. So if I click it, you'll see that my data points get adjusted very nicely. Okay. So this dashboard collects session information, so I can see the various sessions during for this reporting time that we have collected. I can see if the user's log in, I can see the username, and if it's not, it's just not available. I can also see the browser that the user is actually using, the number of invocations, as well as an average of the page load time for this particular session. Um, all right, so let me walk you through the way I present this particular dashboard. The idea here, right, is that let's say you have various stores right across US. So let's say you have four, stores um, or locations where users are calling. And so let's say you have issues or you hear that the stores in the south, okay, are having some issues. So you want to drill in and want to be able to understand who are, what sessions, really, what users are having problems and what sort of things are they doing. So the way we would do this, we'll select this one. It says draw a rectangle. So you click on this button, okay, and then you sort of drag it, and then create a rectangle around the circle. When you do that, what it does is creates a filter, okay, that shows you the sessions or the users, right, that that are actually executing from this particular region. So you see, we're starting to drill down, right? So now we selected a region in the map, and now I'm only seeing the users from that particular region. In fact, I'm seeing the sessions from that particular region, right? Now, to further drill down, right, because I have various sessions, I noticed that the number of invocation per session means the page flow, right? Session, when a user logs in and he does a bunch of you know, hits as he navigates your site, uh, all that flow is happening within a single session, right? So this is showing the various steps, okay, that are occurring in these sessions. So for instance, let's pick this one, user 5. We can see that user 5, there are, it's coming using a mobile Safari, and there are 10 invocations. I mean, 10 pages so far that he have clicked on. So in order to further drill down into that particular session, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this session, okay, and now I'm going to apply. Now I'm going to apply the filter. So you notice that it selected the application name as well as the session ID. So I'm going to go ahead and apply. What this is going to do is just going to filter to just that particular session only, okay? But, right, what that's also going to do is show me, right, the pages, you know, uh, of that particular session, right? The the different flow that the user has done. So, for instance, let's see, let's hope if this is clear. So, for instance, we can see that the user has signed on, he viewed category, he added an item to the cart, he viewed the product, eventually he checked out, and then he signed off. Okay, so these are the various steps flow, right, that user 5 did during that session, right, located in this particular location. So hopefully that makes sense. um, the other thing that the other question that I usually get when I demo this to customers is what sort of information do I capture for every page as the user is navigating through, through this site? And so we get any information we want, right? Every information that we collect. And I just happen to show this set of data, but really anything that we collect, we can show. For instance, in this case, I'm showing device type, the operating system that they're running on, the device model is an iPhone, the browser name is a mobile Safari, the version of the browser. Um, I'm going to skip this because I'll come back to this. I'm showing obviously the number of invocations is going to be one because that's the whole point. We're capturing every single click that he did. But most importantly, we're capturing the page load time for every page that he clicked, right? If there was any errors, right? If there was any, am I capturing errors? No, sorry, I'm not. I don't have to capture errors, but I could have captured errors, right? Just like I capture a number of invocations, I could have captured a number of errors, right? If any errors had occurred in that page. Definitely, I'm capturing the load time, the rendering time, and the first time. So what I'm actually doing in here, so I think the way uh, I build this is to show the breakdown of the page load time. So, for instance, here's the page load time. This is how long the page took to load, and I also show you, right? Remember I talked about um, the network, right? The server response time and the rendering time. So I'm showing you how long, for you to differentiate how long did the browser took to render the page, as well as how long the server took to service that page. So for instance, in this particular case, we can see that, this is a 6.9 seconds uh, page load time, very high. And we can see that the rendering time is 61 milliseconds. So it definitely wasn't because of the browser rendering that it took so long. If I look at the first byte, which represents how long the server took to actually respond to my request, is 6.8 seconds. So I can see that the reason why this page took a long time to load is because of the server itself. Now, let's get back to this. So the one I uh, put off, which is the server transaction trace GUID. What this is capturing, right? Again, assuming that you have an agent on your server, and as well as assuming that your server happen to be capturing a transaction trace, we're also capture uh, the the transaction trace global identifier, and we're able to decorate, the user request with that global identifier, right? Really, in our terms, we're capturing the transaction trace GUID, right? That happen to be running on the Java agent. And so with this now, right, I can unfortunately I don't have right now I don't have a way to click in here, but I can cut and paste this GUID, go to my APM UI, like my web view, and then search for this particular transaction trace. And then I'll have all the details of why the server took 6.8 seconds to respond. Okay. Unfortunately, the Kibana doesn't give me a way to have a click, so I can click and automatically jump into web view, or maybe I don't know how to use it yet, but that's the idea. Okay. So this also goes really well, and if we're customers appreciate the fact that they're able to, even though it's manual, and I told them that we're going to do better in the future, to be able to link up the user requests, right, with actually what happened on the server. All right, so and the last, I think that's it for this. And so again, so I'm going to go ahead and remove, right, clicked on action, and I'm going to remove the filters. And then the last dashboard, and you don't have to show this one. This is just capturing every single individual request. Just again, the idea here is just to show the customer that we're capturing every single request that are hitting their servers, and in here I show all the details. We're capturing, the time obviously when it would hit, the username if it's available, the IP of the user. We can get that, assuming there is not a proxy in front of our browser metric collector, the URL, the session ID, all the information that you saw before. Okay. Here we're capturing the errors, right? So was there any errors on that page? Page errors, were there any Ajax errors on that page? Um, and so on and so forth. As well as, you can sort by IP, you can sort by URL, you can sort by session, by anything you want. And then let's say you're interested on a particular IP, let's say this one, okay, and we wanted to filter the map to see where the user is calling from. We would select this, apply the filter, and then if we look at the map, I can see that that particular user is coming from the north, right? This is actually Toronto, so, where I'm executing this request from. All right, well, that's about it. I think that, and then again, you go ahead and remove this. So these are the dashboards. This is the way you want to navigate. Um, Let me know if you have any questions. What I would love to see is to see if you guys have feedback on what other dashboards make sense, what other data we may capture that users may be interested. As you demo this, somebody may say to you, what about this use case? What about that other use case? Please capture it and let me know. I'll do my best to implement it. The more use cases we have, obviously, the better it will be to demo this. Okay, I think that's it. Hope this is helpful. And again, let me know and shoot me an email if you have any questions. Thank you so much.